Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today we'll be talking about several storm chances that could be, right now nothing really is showing too significant out of them, but they could definitely develop into something more significant. And also a very potentially cold and active pattern as we get towards around mid-January, a potentially very, very active pattern. Now, if you recall, yesterday's video was about a unique storm. The chances of that have kind of gone down as most models are now showing it a bit off coast, but I will be going over the details on that as as well. But if you guys enjoy this channel, enjoy these videos, consider subscribing, consider liking this video. It really supports this channel, and it's the best thing you could do if you like watching these videos. So thank you if you decide to do that. Let's get into this video. So I want to start off this video by looking at the Snowfall Report map, and notice that yesterday with that little system across the Midwest that I was talking about, dropped decent amounts across Missouri. Obviously nothing too heavy, but around an inch to an inch and a half of snow. Some amounts were around a half an inch. Then notice what happened across central Illinois. There were some locations that got up to 9 inches of snow, almost a foot of snow, and the forecast was around 1 to 3, more like 1 to 2 inches. So that definitely came out of nowhere. Notice there was very heavy snowfall here as well, and there was one location that reported 8 inches. So definitely not a bad event for Indiana. And Detroit ended up seeing around 1 to 3 inches, I would say, is fair enough, even some higher locally amounts. And then this is the Northeast. A lot of this was from the system that was still going on yesterday, the one that's well off the coast. Notice there were some heavy amounts. And this is from the new system. You could see 3 to 1 inches, 1 to 4 inches was pretty common. Now, if you were to look at the radar, we could see this system pulling off. And if you recall that earlier, what we thought was going to happen with this system, or not what we thought, but what the possibility was that this was going to drop the snow, and that still looks like that will happen, you know, some fair amounts of snow here. Then it will track off the coast, and this low pressure will kind of do a loop-de-loop, if you will. And while doing that, it kind of regurgitates a lot of snow for these areas. Unfortunately, for the snow lovers, it looks as if this thing will be just a bit far to the east, and it'll just kind of miss those locations. So if I were to take a look at the high resolution model, let's exit out of that. Take a look at the HER model, which is the best model in terms of high resolution. Sorry about this, I am so zoomed in for some reason. Alright, let's take a glance at this. So this is what we have going on as of right now. This is up to 18 hours. So notice, snow will continue, right? It doesn't seem too organized. It may be a bit underdone by this model. We'll have to see. But notice that this really stays off the coast. And if I were to go further out into the longer range, we don't see this really making it onto the coast in much of any sort of fashion at all. So unfortunately, that the uniqueness of the storm was hard to predict it, and the National Weather Service had said that the potential for moderate snow is there, but as of now, you can see the chances have decreased quite a bit. Don't worry though, there are a lot of chances for the Northeast. That's the one area that could be looking for that active pattern. So don't get discouraged by that. Notice what we have is the strong northwest system, right? Moving on to southwestern Canada, the northwestern United States. Lots of snow, lots of rain into California, and eventually moving into further inland. We do have a bit of snow. This could be more like freezing rain drizzle for those in the Midwest. And notice what this does is it ejects the low pressure right there, and that's our first major concern. It's our little one concern, like the little storm that I said at the beginning of the video that could kind of go unnoticed. That is a potential storm, and it doesn't look much at all at this time frame. But if we were to take a look at the GFS and put this into perspective, notice this is what they have. We have that system again, getting pretty close, but not close enough to dump any significant snow. Maybe across Atlantic Canada, but again, even there seems to be limited. Notice this low pressure, once it gets on today and tomorrow and onto the west coast, it moves into the Midwest, and notice that the upper plains end up seeing a bit of snow, actually quite a bit potentially, because notice this thing lags out. It pretty much stalls out across the Dakotas into Nebraska and Iowa, Minnesota. Then it gets a bit of southern energy, right? And it continues to drop snow across Missouri, St. Louis. And again, if this slows down, this could be one of those events that isn't widespread, but wherever it sets up could be producing a decent amount of snow. Now, some models make this more aggressive, some less. The GFS is one of the models that keeps this kind of in between. Notice that what it does is it quickly moves into the south. So a lot of the southeast seeing some rain this Friday. Notice there's another little disturbance moving on to the northwest. And then look at this. The low pressure moves just off the east coast. Now, here's the thing. If this were to move on to the east coast, if this were to take a track, even if a few tenths, 80 miles closer to the shore, this could produce a snow band that affects local coastal areas. If this goes even further closer to the coast, this could affect even a larger area, right? The GFS has been keeping this for a few model runs already, kind of off the coast. Now notice, nothing really significant. Atlantic Canada may be seeing some snow, and that is definitely something to watch for. So, taking a look at the 12Z model run of the GFS, notice it was closer to the shore into Virginia and the coastal areas, possibly seeing that snow. But looking at the 6Z, it did a similar thing even closer to the shore. So the trend has been kind of off the coast, but it's still relatively far out, and we can't let a trend really derail us at this point because it's still relatively far out. And again, not all models agree on that. And if you are noticing, we go back to our recent model run, we have another system that could drop snow across Texas, maybe even eastern Texas, into the southern United States. Some models show a system for the Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama area out of this one right here. The GFS, if you were to look at this, it doesn't look like much. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to be a snowstorm likely coming, anything of that sort, but it's one of those systems that a track difference, a bit of a different orientation, a bit of a pattern switch could mean a large difference. Notice, the GFS with this system takes it onto the northeast coast. And then after that, we see that the active pattern I was talking about. Notice we see a large system move in, right? Snow, more snow, even potentially for the northeast. We see a very southern system. I mean, look how far that gets. Very, very cold air, very cold air, very, very cold air, coldest air of the season. And GFS has been showing that for many model runs. If I were to take it back even, say, almost 24 hours ago, similar trend. So that's definitely something that has been going on for a while. It's not just the first model run that's showing this. And that's why I'm finally starting to talk about it. An active pattern may be possible. Now, let's take a look at some other models. For example, the Canadian model, a relatively good model, right? It had its fair share of victories this year. Notice what it does with this system. Again, keeps it off coast, that unique system, potentially dropping a bit of snow across southern Canada, not the northeast. Sorry about that, not the northeast, unfortunately. Then we see that same system that the GFS shows, again, stalling up potentially across Missouri, southern Illinois. You can see the Canadian shows a bit more of that heavy snow. Takes it into the Carolinas, potentially North Carolina, seeing some snow out of this, Virginia, maybe West Virginia. Again, this is far out, and this system could change very rapidly, very quickly, so we'll just have to keep this monitored. And notice that it takes it off the coast, unfortunately. Anticlimactic for the Northeast. Again, say 12 hours ago, it was closer to the shore. Another 24 hours ago, this is what the Canadian showed. It showed it further to the north and, again, closer to the northeast. Now it takes a more southern track, right? So the models are very jumpy, all of them. And that could be a bad thing or a good thing. If you want the snow across the northeast, it's a good thing because there's a potential for change. But they could also just go even further off coast. And then notice the Canadian also shows that southern system that the GFS showed, but really just takes it miserably weaker. Though it does show that cold air. Look at that. I mean, we see a lot of cold air. This isn't record-breaking cold air, but it takes us into more of a potentially cooler pattern versus the warmer pattern we've been having. And this only goes out to 240, while the GFS goes out a bit further than that. Taking a glance at what the Canadian showed in terms of snowfall, I didn't show you the GFS. I should have, and I will. Notice this is what it shows till about a week from now. Notice, if this happens, Missouri could be seeing some snow. Illinois, southern Illinois, I should mention, North Dakota, South Dakota, kind of that system again, taking its track, and then potentially across the northeast. We'll have to see. Notice it does bring some into North Carolina, Virginia. Then notice, West Coast, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. They will be seeing quite a bit from that system that is occurring right now, including southwestern Canada, obviously, and again, Texas, Utah. The GFS showed much more snowfall for you. If I were to take a look at that, we would see and go out just a bit further. Well, it shows snow, but much further to the east, affecting cities like Dallas, for example. But if you're to look at the longer range forecast with the GFS, notice it shows more snow across the northeast, the plains, even into the south. Again, this snow is a bit iffy because it's not demonstrating it right. Based on the systems we saw developing from the GFS that would have produced much more snow across Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, and even the south. So definitely an active pattern, regardless of whether these two systems or this first one forms into a nor'easter. I want to show you more models now. The NAM 12KM is a high-res model, right? It is a relatively good model. It has done a very decent job this year, probably better than in years past. Notice this is as of January 3rd in the afternoon. We see that system across the northeast. We have that northwest system moving on to Washington, Oregon, and into much of the coastal areas. Even getting into California, this is taking a bit longer to load. We do see that unique system potential again, kind of staving off to the just off the east coast. Unfortunately, not doing much. The NAM does show a bit of snow getting in, but again, nothing of a snowstorm quality. Then we see that northwest system, again, across the plains, start to develop. And the NAM takes it further to the north, but it does definitely show that snow beginning across Missouri, Iowa. Again, it's too far out to see what the short-range models do with this system, whether or not they make this into a nor'easter. Again, there have been many storms where it has been around this 80 to 100 hour out where they just began to start showing a nor'easter. You know, the nor'easters aren't shown for days. Sometimes they come out of nowhere, seemingly, 2 to 3 days of notice. So we'll have to watch this pretty closely, and we'll definitely have to keep an eye on for this. Now, taking a look at the RGEM, another high-resolution model that has done a very good job this year. It does a similar thing. They all show this little spinster system, if you will. Notice keeping that unique system off the coast, right into southeastern Canada. But look, we have that snow band right there from the northwest moisture. We have the southern side of this as well. And notice they kind of formulate together and start dropping snow across Missouri, the Ozarks, Kansas, potentially northern Arkansas. Anywhere in this region, I would say there's a good potential you could see snow this week, depending on how this unfolds. Again, the high-res models are just beginning to get a good grasp on this. So this will be a continuously evolving situation. Notice it does show some amounts, and this was not fully done yet. Taking a look at more high-res models, or sorry, high-res European model. Take a look at this. So notice it shows that system right now across the northeast, keeps it off the coast. We have that big, strong northwestern low pressure that makes its way here, right? Notice pretty miserable, pretty weak. Notice another system, very, very heavy snow with that one. Maybe even more of the coastal, lower elevation staying with that. Notice the European does produces precipitation, and not as much as the GFS or Canadian, but it does bring snow into potentially North Carolina, Virginia, and it does develop a low pressure, but it keeps it off coast. And then notice it does show snow across Texas and stuff, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, the south, and then it moves it further into the northeast possibly. So again, we'll have to watch this area for this system according to the European. Taking a look even 24 hours ago, I wanted to see what it showed. Okay, so see, it showed that system further onshore. And see, I mean, from yesterday, it just completely diminished this storm's chances. Well, that could happen in reverse and increase this storm chances within the next 24 hours. So this is definitely something that's developing right now. And if the models continue to not show that system, well, then the chances are low. But if they start showing it again, we'll have to watch for. 24 hours ago, this is what the European showed with that system. Again, keeping it offshore. So generally, the trend with the European has been more consistent. And then notice also showing that second potential nor'easter. So a lot of stuff to definitely kind of keep an eye on for. Taking a look at the high-res GFS, this is a model that I like to use. It's supposedly the upgraded GFS model. Notice it shows that northeast coastal system, unique storms staying off the coast. We have that snowfall across the Midwest this Wednesday, Thursday, by the way. This will be, not relatively far out. The northwest system, another one possibly moving in. And notice what the GFS parallel does. Shows quite a bit of snow across Missouri, Iowa, sorry, not Iowa. Well, Iowa would be especially western parts into Omaha, Nebraska, right? Kansas, South Dakota, into, again, maybe even Arkansas, Missouri. Missouri seems to be the hardest hit by this, and again, whether or not that's actually heavy snow or more of a lighter event, we'll have to see. Then the GFS parallel, again, takes it too close to comfort to call it a day on this. It's very close, and this could still fluctuate pretty quickly, and we'll have to see. If the trend is continuing to push this further off, well, then it's more likely to say that it's not going to happen, but as of now, that doesn't seem the case. Notice the GFS parallel does keep a storm chance, right? And then it starts getting things very active. Large systems, another large system, another large system, and plenty of cold air compared to what we've been having. So regardless, an active pattern and several storm chances are there. Now, I do want to show you one model, for example, the nav gem. So this is a model that I have really not shown on this channel, but I do look at it because already so many models I show you. But so occasionally when there's things to point out, I look at it. So again, it keeps that unique system off the coast, so that's good, right? Confidence. The Northwest is seeing that. By the way, this is just average precipitation rate. It doesn't show the snowfall. So this is all green, but because it doesn't show snow, so we could assume that wherever that blue line is, that would be snow. But again, I'm just showing you this to show you the track this system, this model takes for that nor'easter, which most models take off the coast. Notice what this does. It takes it right onto the coastal United States, and that could be definitely a track that is possible, and you can see this model is showing that. Now, let's see what the trend has been with this model. It has been relatively consistent. You can see it has shown this system take a similar track at the 12Z model run. Let's go back to the midnight one a bit further out. See, it was further off coast. So in fact, this model has started to show the trend further onshore with this system. Whether or not most other models start following this, we don't know. So this makes things even worse. We have one model that is trending closer, a couple of models that are trending away, and then the European that is kind of keeping the track really relatively similar. So again, interesting. Now, I could show you all the ensembles, the GEFS. Notice this is very zoomed out. This is for the eastern United States, and I just want to show you that this is around the time of where that nor'easter would be occurring. And notice that some of them do show that snowfall further inland. For example, this one shows. Again, it's right there. We have a potential snowstorm according to this model. So there's a lot of differentiating still, but regardless, in the active or in the long range, the pattern does end up looking very active. As you take a look, that if I go out to say 15 days, not loaded in yet, we start seeing larger chances for snow, and we'll just have to watch for that. I could take a look at all the European models, kind of the EPS members, United States. Let's take a look at the precipitation type and MSLP, right? Take it to the track of this system. So this is the European model that we already saw and what it does with the system. Again, snow across Missouri right there, yeah. And then notice it takes it off the coast pretty far out. So let's leave it at hour 126, but see what other models of the family do. Notice some of them show it closer to the coast. Some of them show it pretty far out. Look at that. That one's more of a snowy scenario. And then these are, this is, I think, what is that? 50 ensembles. So this is a ton of ensembles, and they have obviously a lot of disagreement. Let's bring this closer to where this could potentially be affecting the East Coast. And notice that some models, again, a lot of them keep it off the coast. Some models closer than others, and some models possibly do show a coastal nor'easter. Look at that, into Boston, Massachusetts. Look at that. That's a full-fledged system right there with this model run. Now, taking a look at just so I want to take a look at, now this is all over the place, but it's kind of just like this. Wanted to show you this last second. This 15-day snowfall, what models show? So for the next 15 days, this model shows this, that. Just find your location and see what they do. That one shows a nor'easter. This one, just like general snow, no big system. This one shows a nor'easter chance. This one's kind of another nor'easter chance. This one, possibly, you could see a bit of a different situation of a nor'easter right there. And then I'll just take this through and notice that we see a lot of snowfall potential. And this is only 10 days out, so, a lot of differences. I mean, look at this model compared to this model, compared to this one or that one. They're all a bit different. Now, again, I would say that a lot of the models are concentrating very heavy snow across the Northeast. And whether or not that goes to the north, look at that one right there, even across the Carolina, Virginia area, and into further into the Appalachians. So we definitely have a lot of stuff to kind of keep an eye on for, but in general, an active pattern, lots of storm chances that we'll have to keep an eye on for. Now, again, this little guy that we have right now, this could go completely kind of fade away, or this could, again, expand even larger across Missouri, Kansas, and across the Northeast. So this could still change, and it's concerning because sometimes these storms are the worst. But as of now, that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.